No matter which NBA team you root for, it's hard not to admire Gary Payton II's journey throughout the NBA system. Being the son of a 9-time All-Star Gary Payton Sr., the young baller's path has very much differed to his dad's. Regardless not being able to find the same success in the NBA as his dad, it never stopped him from trying. Here's Gary Payton II's inspiring journey from Waived to Golden State Warriors. Waived from Rockets. After GP2 has gone undrafted in the 2016 NBA draft, the Houston Rockets agreed to sign him and give the former Oregon State Beavers guard a chance to follow his dad's footsteps. Payton averaged only 1.6 points and 0.76 assists in 6 preseason games for the Rockets, playing roughly 11 minutes per game. By that time, Houston already had 5 point guards on the roster, and it was clear that if he stayed with the team, finding the court would have been a serious challenge for him. On the night before the opening night in the NBA, teams had to cut their rosters down to the maximum of 15 players, and many prospects were competing for the end of the roster spots, of which many saw their last days with the teams. And that night, GP2 was one of those players, as the team staff announced that he had been waived from the Houston Rockets, which resulted into him becoming a free agent. For the next 5 years, he was tossed around from one team to another, in both the G League and the NBA, unable to find a team he could stay on for a longer time period. Gary was down, he didn't know what to do, but he never gave up, and kept working and trying hard, hoping that one day, he will meet the light at the end of the tunnel. Landing in the Bay. His most recent landing spot has been the Golden State, which initially started as a 10-day contract with the Warriors in April 2021, followed by another 10-day contract, which was already a good sign, and Gary started to regain hope of actually finding a team that would take him on. Then, May came around the corner, and next thing he knew, he was signed for the rest of the season and the 2021-2022 season. Everything was looking great, and Gary was up in clouds. At last, his time had come, and he was finally given the opportunity he had so desperately longed for his entire life. For Gary, the stars were starting to align, until the plug was pulled. The general manager of the Golden State Warriors, Bob Myers, had to break the news to GP2 that the team decided to waive him just before the start of the 2021-2022 season. While this would have totally broken him in the past, and those type of news would probably break every player, Gary was already numb to getting that type of news, as it has happened to him so many times. He stated that with every team he got a chance with, he was always assuming the worst. It was like a protective shell that he created for himself, just so that he didn't ever get his hopes up about anything NBA related. Regardless him claiming that, he admitted that this time, it was something about it that felt different. Not wanting to leave. So it was clear, Gary was cut, and there was obviously no going back, but that didn't stop him from being aware of the position he was in, and doing everything he could do to capitalize on it. After Myers told him the news, his immediate response to the general manager of the Warriors was a direct reflection of his character both on and off the court. After all, this was the Bay, and he didn't just want to turn the page and move on. So he decided to do what no one has ever done before. He was like, frick it. Yeah, he was cut, but he was about to stay there and work out with the team regardless. At that time, he was not even sure if that is something that was allowed. But he really wanted to stay on the team's radar, to let them know that this is where he wants to be. So after Bob broke the news to him, he was like, well, you know what though, can I still come in tomorrow? And work out with the team and just like, be around?
And I'll never forget, he looked at us and said, can I still come in here tomorrow? And that's the equivalent of firing somebody, and they said, well, can I still work? And I'll never forget that.
And to his surprise, Myers chose to agree, which was an absolute game changer for Gary. Even though he wasn't a part of the Warriors organization, his loyalty still lied with Golden State, which made all the difference. An unexpected call. When Bob told him he could hang around, that was exactly what Gary did. He even told his agent that if he clears the waivers and anyone calls about him, he wants him to tell them that he's really just interested in getting back on the Warriors first and foremost. That was his whole vibe at the time. He knew that somehow, and he didn't know how, he was getting back on that team. And only a few days later, they got a call, and GP2 found himself in a room, attending a meeting he'll remember forever. So they called him into a meeting room, and they were like, "GP, we see you, man. You made the team. You've got yourself a spot in the roster." And that was the moment he was looking for. The moment he will never forget. The moment that out of all of them felt the best.
Yeah, well, thanks for that, guys.
Fast forward to a few months later, Gary quickly became a crucial part of the Warriors, and waiving him was not an option on the horizon anymore. A fractured elbow. Gary Payton II's hard work and dedication literally earned himself a spot in the Warriors' starting lineup for both Games 1 and 2 of the Western Conference semifinals against the Memphis Grizzlies. Until an unexpected fracture to his left elbow put a heartbreaking uppercut to his playoff hero aspirations. After everything he had gone through, he, for the first time and finally, felt like he was where he belonged, on the biggest stage in the NBA, and all that was taken away from him in seconds. Still, he refuses to put his head down, and he's going to continue what he's been doing his entire career, not giving up. He doesn't have time to waste thinking about something bad that happened, or feeling sorry for himself. He has too much to feel positive about for all that. He doesn't take himself just being on the Warriors and a part of this whole thing for granted. He cherishes every minute of it, and he's well aware of how fortunate he actually is. While as of right now, it is unclear whether we'll get to see GP2 on the court again this postseason, the Warriors can undoubtedly play true his motto after facing plenty ups and downs this season, yet never giving up on their ultimate finals dream, and in return, they are on a good path to their 6th NBA Finals appearance in 8 years.